Welcome to The Source, where we provide the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. I'm Pinky Webb. Today on the program, lawmakers are hinting at the possibility of more sanctions against ABS-CBN. Can the government seize its assets after the denial of its franchise application? And amid the rising coronavirus cases in the country, is the government doing a good job in its COVID-19 response? And critics slam the proposal to push for charter change amid the coronavirus pandemic. House Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano joins us in the program. The government vows to help thousands of workers affected by the denial of the franchise renewal bid of television giant ABS-CBN. Some lawmakers are also hinting at the possibility of imposing more sanctions on the embattled network. Also, what are the plans of the House of Representatives in dealing with the COVID-19 crisis? And will charter change be prioritized once the session resumes next week? Let's go straight to the source of the story. We have House Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano. Speaker, welcome to the show and maraming salamat po sa inyong oras.
Sa lahat ng ating televiewers at yung mga manunood sa internet later on all around the world, mga OFWs, kamusta po kayo?
Alright, umpisahan po natin dito, Speaker. Yung Makabayan Bloc wrote to the Legislative Franchise Committee to submit po the TWG report and the resolution on the rejection of the House to deny or to not grant, rather, the franchise of ABS-CBN. So they want the plenary to act on this report. Number one, sir, is this possible?
Well, let me just state, Pinky, that ang priority namin is fighting COVID, yung sa ang aming acronym AIM, Adapt, Innovate, Manage. So having said that, the context, the timing, although ako mismo hindi agree sa timing, ang problema nga, nag-off the air and nag-expire during COVID and then pumutok ang taal right before this. So we have to deal with it. But we're dealing with so much work and an unforeseen future uncertainties. So if you're asking directly, my possibility, anything is possible sa plenary. But what will happen that I think the franchise committee will give it to the committee on rules and the committee on rules will decide. Sa akin, okay, whether that's chacha, anything controversial, yung anti-terror law, yan ABS decision, it's good na papag-usapan. But let's not put it front and center because the reality is we're in a pandemic and we have to focus on solving the day-to-day problems ng ating mga kababayan.
Pero I need to understand, Speaker, the legality of this. Because nung dinenay po ng House Legislative Committee, meron pong term na ginamit, it's on the table. Something like that, sir. So ang sinabi, ang pagkaintindi doon, tapos na po doon. So ang sabi naman ng Makabayan, dalin po ito sa plenary so that Congress can act on this petition. My question is this legal or is this part of the House rules? Posible ho ba ito?
Pinky, everything was done in accordance with the rules. Everything was done openly, transparent, legal. So as a general rule, pag dininay yung franchise, hindi na pumupunta sa plenary yan. But the plenary, under the Constitution, has all the powers. So it depends on how the House will decide. So is it possible? Yes. Is it a regular procedure? No. Diba? So yun ang kinaklarify namin.
So who decides, Speaker, kung pwedeng dalin sa plenary?
First, the Committee on Rules and then the plenary as a whole. So parang Pinky, di ba? Halimbawa, tapos na pag-usapan yung anti-terror law, pero gusto mo pang tumayo at gusto mong pag-usapan. Kung privilege speech lang, you don't even need everyone to agree, ikaw lang. But if you want to reopen the discussions on the law, then you have to get the permission ng plenary. So it's the usual procedure na may magmo-motion and then it depends pag sinuportahan ng Committee on Rules, de tuloy na yan. Pero pag tinutulan, magbobotohan yan.
Is this something though that you would support?
I think whatever procedure we will follow, we haven't heard the end of the discussions on these issues. So I'm sure that there will be discussions on the floor. I cannot just tell you right now because we haven't had a all-member caucus, we haven't not met with the whole Committee on Rules, but we do have priorities, no? And it really depends on the numbers then, di ba, kung anong mangyayari.
Yung latest SWS survey, Speaker, I'm sure you're aware of this. 3 out of 4 Filipinos favor the franchise renewal of ABS-CBN. But of course, this was decided already by the legislative franchisor. My question is, do you still stand by this decision in spite of this 3 out of 4 Filipinos saying that sana o dapat bigyan ng franchise ang ABS-CBN, sir?
Well, first of all, that survey was done before matapos yung hearings. You have to remember, Pinky, there's been 50 years of ABS-CBN and only 3 weeks of hearing. And during the hearing, if you look at yung other news, 5, CNN, 7, medyo fair naman yung coverage. But Channel 2, every time na may violation, ang report nila is the government said walang violation or legal. So may spin parate doon eh. So I don't blame some of the supporters of ABS who keep saying that they never violated the law or abused the law because yun ang report ng news nila. But if you watched all of the hearings and you reviewed the transcript, I'll give you a quick example, BIR. Yes, BIR said that there was a certificate na wala silang pending. But in the same hearing, they also said that doesn't mean walang fraud. That just means that there's no investigation right now. But when the Big Dipper came into focus, ang dami ng tax lawyers nagsasabi na not only was it wrong, but there's possible fraud there. No? So, dun mo makikita, Pinky, na of course, people will react based on the information they have. And precisely why I wanted them on the air during the hearings, because ni-live nila eh. So sana mas maraming tao ang nakapanood ng live. But unfortunately, they were off the air during that time. So hindi napanood nung iba yung mga violations na ginawa nung network na to. Remember, Pinky, the franchise has to do with yung negosyo, with yung broadcast to make money, the business side. Their news and public affairs continues. Hindi namin ginalaw yon, and that's part of their press freedom of expression. So they can continue with their news, but they cannot broadcast commercially.
There was a meeting, Speaker. It was on Zoom, live on Facebook, I believe. Si Congressman Defensor Marcoleta, Congressman Boying Remulla, and Dan Fernando also was there, sir. So there's a number of issues that were tackled, which form part of the hearings, the 13 hearings at Congress. I just want to run this by you one by one. Ang sabi po ni Congressman Marcoleta, yung pong lupa, pinag-uusapan po dito yung lupa na kinatatayuan na ABS-CBN sa ngayon. Sabi ni Congressman Marcoleta, if government owns this, lahat daw po ng improvements na nandun, na ginawa doon sa lupain na yon, ay pag-aari ng gobyerno. My question, sir, is, do you agree?
First of all, Pinky, nasa civil code yan, that if you're a builder in good faith, meaning tingin mo ikaw talaga may-ari, you will get compensation. If you're a builder in bad faith, then dapat kung sino may-ari ng lupa gets everything. But lahat ito ay discussions not of Congress, but of members of Congress na pinag-aralan yung issue. So meron time and venue for that, which is the good government or the Blue Ribbon Committee ng House. But my personal opinion to them was that ABS-CBN has to deal with their employees first. And may pandemic, and their news has to continue to help get people informed. So that's why sinuspend muna yung sa good government.
So pag nagkaroon po ng finding na questionable po yung lupa na kinatatayuan ng ABS-CBN, do you agree, sir, na kung ano man yung improvements na ginawa doon ay automatically magiging pag-aari ng gobyerno?
Hindi po automatic yon. They have to go to court. and they have to prove that builder in bad faith. So ako, Pinky, I haven't heard the arguments. I haven't seen the documents. And hindi ko pinangungunahan yung mga committee. But unlike yung franchise na according to the Constitution, kami magde-decide, sa ibang mga ganito, sa investigation in aid of legislation, recommendation lang kami sa tamang mga ahensya.
Okay. Another thing, sir, ang sinabi din po dito, yung pinag-uusapan na TV Plus, there was 10 million sold. Sinabi po ni Congressman Marcoleta, even if you divide this rather by 2, kalalabasan po niyan 5 million. If there was a violation, that would be 200 pesos every day for every day of violation. In other words, long and short, sir, ang sinasabi po ni Congressman Marcoleta dito, 5 years and 4 months yung pong tagal ng violation, tantamount to about 1.97 trillion pesos na pwede daw pong gamitin at posible din daw pangtulong sa mga manggagawa ng ABS-CBN. Sir, what are your thoughts on this? Is this something that needs to be pursued, sir?
Well, Pinky, si Congressman Remulla, Congressman Mike Defensor, Congressman Deputy Speaker Marcoleta, all studied these issues well. But it doesn't mean that because they studied the issues well, they're right or wrong. They're discussing it, and it's the committee and the whole membership who will continue to dig and make. And we've never stopped any committee from doing any investigation in aid of legislation. Ang question lang yung timing. So I guess they went on Zoom to continue to inform people and to have a public discussion, di ba? But ako, I face the same thing. I've been on several Zooms with several people, and I always start out to talk about the new normal, about adapting, innovating, and managing the situation. Pero bumabalik yung issue either sa ABS-CBN o sa anti-terror law. So alam mo, ang DNA kasi natin talaga sa news, kung ano yung controversial, yun ang pag-usapan. And although these are urgent issues, there are very important issues like COVID-19 and, for example, the 2021 budget. Isa na sa pinag-usapan naming kagabi yan ni Executive Secretary Miguel Dia, na I was telling him it's very, very important that we have a very huge anti-COVID funding or a COVID-related response fund, di ba? And sabi ko nga, it should be around 500 billion. So but the budget is complicated. The DBM has to weigh in because primarily sila, but the DOF has to weigh in, both houses of Congress. No? Pero at tama ka, Pinky, parating napupunta dyan. But the committee has not scheduled hearings, and kung makikita mo, busy yung committee on, yung Blue Ribbon Committee ng House on the prices of power sa Meralco, and also on the distribution ng SAP, just in case we have to do it again. We don't want to make the same mistakes before. Meron pang ibang mga hini-hear din, yung si Chairman Mike Defensor naman, yung sa OFWs, because after hearings, nagkakaroon ng resulta . Nung una, akala namin DOLE at saka DFA ang may problema. After the hearing, na sort out with CAAP, tumuloy-tuloy yung mga flights. No? So you will hear lawmakers talk about that because they're into that issue. And because, to be frank, nagbabanatan yung both sides of it. And I respect both sides. They're discussing it. No?
Okay, Speaker, we need to take a very short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to The Source. Our guest today, Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano. Sir, papasadahan ko pa rin po ito. Meron kasing pinag-uusapan na tinatawag na workers takeover in ABS-CBN. Palagay niyo ho ba this will work, and could this be a good idea, sir?
I've always believed that we should support cooperatives and startups, that government should make capital easy for them. I always believe that in, let's say, a restaurant, the chef, the waiters, their accountant should be able to have a way of owning their business. And nung nag-decline yung mga dyaryo because nga of internet and broadcast, for me, it's still a good idea na hindi mamatay yung mga provincial papers, but that it's be through cooperative. So if you're asking me, Pinky, is it possible for the ABS-CBN employees, including their big stars, to take over both entertainment and news and public affairs? Ang answer ko is yes. Is it easy? Definitely no. But ang nakita ko lang, even those who were very much against the franchise, wala silang personal sa ABS itself at sa mga empleyado. Their main issue really is how the owners of ABS-CBN use the network contrary to law and public policy to push for their own interest. So you may or may not agree with that. It might be the real reason or not the real reason behind some of people who voted. But it's just like Mighty Corporation, nung nakita na they were really messing around with taxes, pinagbayad na malaking fine, pero hindi naman close down, pinayagan na magbenta. So I think, was it Chairman Mike who mentioned that? I think ang point ni Chairman Mike doon, kung si Presidente mismo
I think it's
nagsabi,
him,
pwede nyo
sir.
ibenta. Tapos yung mismong against naman sa franchise nila sa House, willing naman magbigay ng franchise kapag kaiba, then that's a possibility. But I agree with the workers union na I disagree with him that it's impossible, but I agree with him that it's not that easy. No.
Sinabi po ni Congressman El Rey Villafuerte nga the
Yes.
Lopezes should consider selling ABS-CBN. I wanted to get your thoughts on that, sir. Ganun ho ba dapat is that the direction that
Well,
they should be taking?
No, we're a democracy So no one should force anyone to sell nor buy. Ang narinig ko sinabi ni El Rey na kung mahal ng mga Lopezes yung empleyado nila, consider na is-sell because para tumuloy-tuloy pa rin intact yung grupo nila. Now, going back to the cooperative or run by the that can be done if suportahan ng husto ng owners. Meaning, halimbawa, don't demand immediate payment over 5 years or 10 years, di ba? Ang main issue kasi dito for most of the congressmen, Pinky, is really how ABS-CBN flaunted the law, went around tax laws, election laws, and how they used ABS to protect their business and to be kingmakers or kingslayers in Philippine politics. Yan ang issue dyan And it's only history that will be able to judge. We can debate whole day. I understand people have strong feelings. I'm one of the best and worst people to talk about this because I'm also friends with both sides. I've seen the benefits and the danger. But history na lang makaka-judge niyan. So immediately, ang tanong natin, how do we help the industry? Not only ABS-CBN. Remember, Pinky, lahat ng comedians ngayon sa mga comedy club, nawalan ng trabaho, nag-close yung mga comedy club. Tandaan natin, most of the musicians sa mga bars at restaurants, kung dati grupo sila, ngayon baka solo or wala. Let's remember na ang mga performing artists natin ngayon, even if ABS got a franchise, mahirap mag-shooting, ang mga advertisers naglalagay ng pera sa relief rather than dun sa advertising, which is a good thing, di ba? Pero apektado din yung bottom line ng networks. So, what did Korea do after the 1997 Asian crisis? They planned yung K-wave, yung K-pop, yung K-drama. So, nung 70s, 80s, I think even 60s, lamang na lamang tayo. Di ba? Hindi pa uso ang Bollywood noon, Hollywood pa lang. When I went to Malaysia, maraming bumibili ng DVD ng mga teleserye natin. That was 10, 15 years ago. No? Sa Thailand, meron din. So what I think we can do really and focus on is to create a Department of Arts and Culture, but to put together an ecosystem wherein our creative artists, yung knowledge, digital era. No? So that's not only arts and performing arts and culture, that will also include, halimbawa, robotics, di ba? Yung mga products of the mind talaga, yung intellectual property ang ifo-focus natin. So I'd like to focus on that. Now, if mabebentang ABS or mabibigyan sila ng chance na mag-cooperative or for example the stars can come together and invest and they can have a content company so hindi sila magbo-broadcast but sila gagawa ng content. Ang question, anong tulong ng gobyerno? Because if you're going to have the same taxes, the same system, mahirap sa mga stars na yung lifetime savings nila, invest nila sa isang teleseries o sa isang sine, hindi rin mura to i-produce, di ba? So there are issues like that I think Congress has best practices, not only in Korea, India, but also in the US.
Speaker, sinabi niyo po, I remember, I don't know when, but that you want to help the 11,000 employees. Sir, how do you intend to do this?
Well, first of all, yung malalaki, yung mga may pangalan, big stars, etc. Even as we talk, the market is absorbing, and I'm sure there are talks with other radio and TV stations. So I am very confident that they will land on their feet. It doesn't make it less uncomfortable. I don't think I can say anything to express sympathies, but we are sad about the. By the way, Pinky, it's not 11,000 employees. It's 4,000 plus. Kasi yung iba are contractuals, and it should have been more than
11,000 employees and
11,000
talents.
if the Big Dipper was there. Kasi yung ibang mga outsourcing nila napatay lahat nung ginawa yung Big Dipper, no? At alam to ng mga creative sa loob ng ABS, hindi lang nagsasalita yung iba. So ang problema natin ngayon, yung let's say yung mga 60 years old doon, yung mga technicians, etc. So, kailangan pagtulong-tulungan, meaning if mag-upgrade ang Channel 4, mag-upgrade ang Channel 5, sana kunin din nila itong mga to. Dole was saying that they're ready to support, but that might be a 1-month or 2-month support, and we need a long-term solution. So that's why for me, the best thing that Congress can do, and then at the same time, parang namang hindi parang tinanggal mo yung franchise, tapos sasabihin mo, tutulungan mo yung 11,000. We're not naman running ABS so yung tulong namin is short-term. So it's really how to challenge the whole country and the government na yung performing arts industry, yung creative industry to be a leader again. At wag muna natin targeting yung buong mundo. Asia muna targeting natin. Total, ang Chinese market, Japanese market, Korean market, malaki din naman at may pera tong mga to, no? In ASEAN, we have 680 million people. So imagine the advertising then ng mga multinational there and everything, no? So I think more mid and long term ang tulong ng Congress. Short term, it's really the agencies that have money para sa lahat ng nawalan ng trabaho. Maybe one way then that we can help is let's continue to disagree on the franchise, but let's not hit each other when it comes to the employees kasi sila naman talaga ay inosente dito pero tinamaan sila.
All right. Again, we need to take another short break. We'll be right back. Speaker, isang tanong na lang po because I need to shift topics. During the start of the interview, sinasabi nyo nga that Congress needs to really look into the COVID-19 pandemic, our response, the economic stimulus package, the jobs, etc. My question, sir, is very simple. If Congress needs to focus on this, because this is very important in the very near future, sir, now and in the near future, do you suggest, sir, my question is, do you still suggest that various committees of the House still look into what they are seeing as possible violations of ABS-CBN, or should they just drop this for the meantime and focus on more important issues, sir?
It's up to them. But if you look at the actions of Jonathan Alvarado, chairman ng committee, is now focusing on yung presyo ng kuryente and focusing sa pag-deliver ng social amelioration. And si Secretary Bautista has been very cooperative helping us find solutions. So if you're asking me if I was chairman, I'd put everything sa COVID. But ang problema kasi, Pinky, nila-live kasi yung mga controversial like yung ABS. Pero hindi naman nila-live ang hearing sa DSWD, sa OFWs. 'Di ba? Nire-report kung may palpak ang Congress, pero hindi naman nire-report that 260% more productive kami than previous Congress, that we've had several hearings on DCC, and that several of these hearings have produced good results. Alam mo, this is the first time, at least since I became a member of Congress in 98, where I saw na walang nag-break tumuloy-tuloy ang work ng Congress at every day kaming may hearing, no? But since nga hindi siya covered live, people don't know that that's happening. So we're actually not focusing on ABS-CBN. It's less than 1% of, if we had 100 hearings, it's only 1. Kaya lang, it's big news. At hindi ko naman dinidiktahan ang news ko ano i-cover nila o hindi.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.